gain of function because it did not involve the enhancement of the pathogenicity or transmissibility of the viruses studied. But perhaps the most brazen denial was from Francis Collins a few weeks ago.
Let me be very clear. We never approved any grant that would have supported gain-of-function research on dangerous coronaviruses to see if they could be more transmissible or lethal for individuals in the human species. That was not something that we would have done.
How could he even say that with a straight face? He's the one who publicly advocated just that. In 2011, in a Washington Post opinion piece, he wrote with Dr. Fauci, quote, "Important information and insights can come from generating a potentially dangerous virus in the laboratory." Now they say they never would have done that. But just like that Washington Post article they wrote a decade ago, the past has a way of catching up with you. And now we come to the Fauci tape. Let's go through this clearly, step by step. In 2014, the NIAID initiated research project R01 AI110964, Understanding the Risk of Bat Coronavirus Emergence. As part of that project, over $3 million was sent to EcoHealth Alliance, and over $500,000 of that was sent to the Wuhan Institute of Virology. The requested work included this paragraph that many of our scientific sources told us was gain-of-function research. In 2017, EcoHealth Alliance's Peter Daszak and the Wuhan lab's Shizheng Li published this progress report, which lists the ID R01 AI110964 in its funding section. This is the Fauci project. They analyzed bat coronaviruses and sequenced their genetic information. They then built various chimeras, genetically engineered new viruses, man-made in the lab. They infected human cells with them in the lab, and they then showed that their man-made viruses could replicate as a functional virus. NIH officials, Dr. Collins and Dr. Fauci now claim that none of that is gain of function. Really? Here's Dr. Fauci speaking at a gain of function conference in 2012.
If you look at basic research as we've approached it, integral to that study has always been the issue of gain of function research.
He describes in detail the specific forms that gain of function can take.
There are a few ways to look at gain of function research. There's the naturally occurring mutations which naturally give gain of function, and investigators study these effects on the phenotypes of interest. Does this mutation make something more transmissible, more pathogenic, or adapt to host better? Or what historically investigators have done is to actually create gain of function by making mutations, passage adaptation, or other newer genetic techniques such as reverse genetics and genetic reassortment.
Let's play the crucial parts again.
What historically investigators have done is to actually create gain of function by making mutations, passage adaptation, or other newer genetic techniques such as reverse genetics.
Reverse genetics, a technique used by scientists to create gain of function. Fauci's words. We've seen them before. We've seen them in the 2014 Fauci project. We've seen them in the 2017 progress report describing the research carried out by the Wuhan Institute of Virology as part of that project, with money from Fauci's NIAID funneled to them through EcoHealth Alliance. We've seen them in the 2015 paper published by Ralph Baric and Shizheng Li that was also funded by the NIAID and EcoHealth Alliance. And yet Fauci said this, let's remind ourselves, to Rand Paul.
The NIH and NIAID categorically has not funded gain-of-function research to be conducted in the Wuhan Institute of Virology.
There is now no question, none, that was a lie. Fauci lied to Congress. That is a crime, whether or not
arrest him.
Even CNN says so. Now, even as the media finally start to scrutinize all this, still Fauci lies and wriggles and deflects and dissembles.
The idea, I think, is quite far-fetched that the Chinese deliberately engineered something so that they could kill themselves as well as other people?
We've never said the Chinese or Fauci did this deliberately. When you see Fauci deflecting like that, when you see him flat out lying, you have to ask why. The only explanation that makes sense is that he is worried. He knows the pandemic virus most likely did escape from the Wuhan lab, and he knows it was the project he commissioned that put it there in the first place. All that would be bad enough for Fauci, but he knows there's something worse. He knows that he commissioned these experiments despite a ban imposed by the Obama administration and despite new rules imposed by the Trump administration when the ban was lifted. That is professional misconduct of the highest order and must immediately be investigated by Congress. Beyond that, are we going to do nothing when we have incontrovertible evidence that the single most prominent figure throughout this pandemic, promoted by Biden, now continuing to chase fame with his own Cuomo-style self-congratulatory memoir? Are we going to do nothing when that person lies to Congress about the origin of the pandemic that has killed millions and upended the world? Frankly, unless Fauci is prosecuted and unless he and Collins are fully investigated, Biden's sudden conversion to finding out what really happened to cause this pandemic will be completely hollow. All right, let's bring in House Minority Whip and the ranking member of the House Subcommittee on the Coronavirus Crisis, Congressman Steve Scalise. Great to see you, Congressman. I know you've been on this very strongly. This new information tonight, I think everyone watching will want to know, what can we do about this?
Well, Steve, what we need to do is have hearings on this very issue. I mean, you look over a week ago with the emails
Hearing
that
after
came
hearing.
out. Clearly,
Stop
those of us
it.
for
Come
a
on,
year now
arrest the guy.
for an investigation
He's a
into the
criminal.
origin of this virus.
He killed
specifically
millions of
whether or not
people.
it did start in that Wuhan lab. As you
And he's
pointed
tried
out,
to cover it
over
up.
a
Come
year
on.
ago, many people were calling for this kind of investigation.
I love you.
And we were
I
called
love
conspiracy
you,
theorists. Now it looks very
Scalise,
much
but you
like
know
that
what?
may have been where this
Arrest
virus
him. I don't
started.
care
Whether
about
it was
any more
intentional or not,
investigations.
and whether